All right, Matt, welcome to episode 16 of the Performance Advantage podcast. And this week we've got a very special guest, Rob Dallimore, owner, operator of Foot Traffic Endurance Sports Coaching, probably one of the largest endurance sports coaching businesses in New Zealand and potentially the Southern Hemisphere.
All right. But another guest, it's like we know people and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And our audience, who is predominantly aged between 25 and 45 years old, and 60% of them are iPhone users, are going to appreciate this guest, I expect.
But that's not to say that we don't appreciate the other users.
No, we
who don't fit
appreciate
in that.
everyone, and I actually am blown away by the support. If you're listening to this, I highly thank you for taking time out of your day to, or maybe just going about your day and still having a listen, because it really helps us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, we need to work on that thank you, actually, because we talk about it a lot, actually, between ourselves, and we're like, oh, this is so awesome that we get to help people, and like people are actually enjoying what we work hard to give them, and like that's super cool. It's really cool, and we both love it. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah. So Matt, before we get into our special guest, why don't you give me a bit of an update on your American travel in the Americas?
Yeah, still here. Going on a month now. Traveling around, chasing summer, kind of. But it's funny because last week we talked about overtraining, and it was really, really relevant for me at the time because I was feeling like so exhausted, and I pretty much I didn't have huge amounts of volume in riding, but it was all like just slightly at too high of an intensity, and it really like came down to me pretty hard last week, and I had to like lay low a lot and take a lot of naps and stuff. And yeah, luckily yesterday was really rainy, so that gave me a good excuse to not join Caleb on a 6-hour ride. So I just got a lot of work done, and yeah, I'm looking forward. Actually, tomorrow I'm doing some filming with the brake power meter with one of my friends who's really big on YouTube now. He was a professional mountain biker for over 20 years, and he has a huge following on YouTube, and we're going to do this awesome video comparing hardtails and beginners and experts and looking at all the braking on this awesome downhill track that we have locally. It's going to be super cool. Really looking forward to that.
Cool. And if people didn't catch it, Matt and I had a competition against each other with the brake power meter on one of the most well-known tracks in Rotorua, Eagle vs Shark.
Right.
And it was pretty close, Matt, for a long track. I think we were, 12, 16 seconds in it?
Yeah, it wasn't too far away, but it was awesome to like what I've been doing lately is trying to split up the video and find the parts that are super interesting and where there's really big differences in our braking. I found some pretty cool differences between you and I that made that like 12-second difference. So, what we'll use it for is we'll give you recommendations on your braking. So that way next time you hit Eagle versus Shark, you can climb into maybe, that top 15 or top 20 on Strava. I think you can do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was the braking side of things, which I have never been coached on. I sort of just did the Karen McPherson approach of death grip, avoid your brakes at all costs, and then grab a bunch of them when you need to. But yeah, I was dragging my brake sort of into the corner and around the corner and then pedaling out, whereas you were hardly even pedaling. It's like, not only was I slowing down more, but I was speeding up more too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's all about efficiency. So don't worry. We'll get you. I mean, then you can teach me about running.
Yeah. We're still got to set you up for your first ultra marathon, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah. How was your week, Will?
Good. Yeah. Not much, just getting back into running. And yeah, that overtraining podcast we did last week was really relevant for me too, because I was in amongst a break and coming back, and I just sort of wanted to force myself back into training. Like, oh my God, I've got 100K in a few weeks and I need to get back into it. And I really couldn't be bothered. And so I just ran as I felt like I wanted to. If I did, I'd I did. If I didn't, I didn't do anything. And now this week, it's like the motivation's getting really high, and I'm feeling good about myself again, and how I'm feeling out on the tracks. And it's like, yeah, this is how it's meant to feel, which is cool. It reassures me that when I give recommendations to athletes to just stop, that you do actually get a benefit. You don't like lose all your fitness and gain 10 kgs.
No, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like, because you see those performance management charts in the training software, and pretty much once you stop, once you start to take a break, you see your fitness plummet in your performance management chart. And we've talked about this before between ourselves, and we're like, well, actually, fitness doesn't work like that. Like, it doesn't just disappear in 2 weeks. Just like you don't gain 10 kgs in 2 weeks. It's what you do all the time and consistently that really makes a difference. So 2 weeks isn't going to stop you, but it can really help with your motivation.
Yeah. Motivation is a huge one. Like what you have to go through to improve yourself, or even just get through the event you may have never competed in before, is going to be challenging. And if motivation's starting to dwindle, then it all just doesn't become fun anymore, and that's just obviously not enjoyable.
Yeah, sure. At every level, like, it has to be fun. Like, even for the pros, like, they have to be enjoying it. And, that means, if we're like an age grouper, like, we also really need to enjoy it. Like, it's not our job. And for the pros, it is their job, and they know that they need to keep that enjoyment around to keep performing really, really well. And, I think everyone can take lessons from that.
Yeah. So, Matt, anything else to update before we introduce our special guest?
No, I think that's it. I'm really looking forward to talking to Rob and hear about his coaching.
All right, Matt. So we've got our special guest, Rob Dallimore, and I have listed down some notes from him, his palmarès, and it's quite impressive. So he's the owner of Foot Traffic Endurance Coaching. He's done almost 20 Ironman events, if this is up to date. Competed at the Ironman World Championships 3 times, age group long distance and Olympic distance world championships as an age grouper. He's an Ironman New Zealand Hall of Famer. He's an NZ registered podiatrist, and I can see results dating back to 2006 Canberra ITU long distance ITU world champs. I think I said ITU already. And doing some research, I found that he prides himself in how long he can hold a track stand. Now, Matt, this could be a competition because I know you're a good track stander yourself.
I did see that. It's a shame this isn't in person. We could do a track stand the whole interview. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe we could have set that
I love
up.
a good track stand. Yeah. But that is something to pride yourself in, Rob. I definitely appreciate a good track stand.
You got to compare like for like. So a track stand on a mountain bike is a lot easier than it is on a road bike. And on a triathlon bike, it's even harder again. So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to picture someone in their aero position doing a track stand. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll try that. All right, we'll give that a go.
Yeah, no brakes.
Yeah.
Feet on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No,
There's no way. There's no way.
Oh, we'll put it on YouTube. So you watch this. It'll be an Instagram story. You can see it coming.
Instagram TV.
Yep.
IGTV.
Yeah.
Well, that's Rob's palmarès. And
the other thing is I think you said I had a sub 17 5K.
Yes.
Pretty sure that was quite a long time ago on track and spikes. So let's not get carried away there.
No, you don't. I can cut that out for you if you want.
That's right.
It's on Strava. This is where I got the stats. This is what people see.
Oh, so it's
Strava doesn't lie.
No, we'll take it then. Yeah, no, I definitely did that. I remember that.
Yeah, last week on training.
Week. Yeah.
The 241k ride.
Yeah,
Strava stat. That's a biggie.
That was a good. So that was in a race. That was in a triathlon.
And, really?
Yeah. So and it was in America. It was in Oregon, Bend, Oregon, and it was called the Leadman Epic 250. and it was a 5K swim, a 20K bike, 22K bike, and a 20K run. And so what that is the 220K bike plus the run. So it hadn't split itself out, but it's still a long way. Let's not forget. and it was a tough day. But I've actually done a longer ride. But my GPS unit reset itself when I got home, and that was 225K. And I've never forgotten that moment when the screen went blank and it said resetting.
Yeah, I know when I did my first 200K ride with my now wife Emma, and we were like immediate upload, plug into the computer. Like I need the starter.
Let's not lose this. We actually at our Ironman camp in February every year we do a 200K ride, 210K ride. It's a good challenge.
Is that the one you do in Taupo?
Yeah, it's a good challenge, eh? And it's a big day, but everyone can achieve it. It's amazing, and the confidence you get from it's just so good. Like it's such a big number. It's crazy.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I can remember taking riders on their first 100-mile ride, and that is like. So what's that, 160K or something?
Yeah.
Ish. And that's like you feel like you can rule the world after you do a ride like that. Yeah, it's just a great accomplishment for sure. Yeah.
It is good. It is good. You gonna do Dirty Kansas or something one day?
Nope. No way. Actually.
I have no interest.
100% definitely not. But I must say, I wish Strava was around back when we were doing the 24-hour races, because you could get some pretty cool stats up for that. But that was in the day where our heart rate monitors didn't even record; they just showed what we were doing in the here and now.
Yeah,
so it's not on Strava.
We didn't really know what we were doing with them either.
No.
All right. Well, we'll get into a couple questions, and we sort of want to get to know Rob on I guess two different levels. One would be him as a fellow coach and business owner, and then as so that's more of the business side of things, Matt. And then we'll get into sort of his advice for everyone, having spent 2 decades coaching and working with athletes. So we'll get Rob to really just introduce himself to our audience and let us know how he got into becoming a coach and really where it all started.
Yeah, so so I was always a cross country runner back when I was young and at school, and I went to Pakuranga College, which in Auckland, which was a very strong school at the time in triathlon and cycling and running. And actually, my first year at school was Cam Brown's last year, so there was a really strong culture of triathlon in the school. And basically, as soon as the people in charge of triathlon knew that I was a runner, I got told to come along to this triathlon club or triathlon training group. I didn't really have a lot of idea what it was about. I had always watched Ironman New Zealand, so I knew what triathlon was, but I didn't really know how this was going to work for me. And pretty quickly I was chucked into it and got a bike, and that went okay. Tried to swim, that didn't go so well. And in fact, my first triathlon, I didn't make the end of the swim. I got pulled out at the first buoy.
Matt!
Yeah, I know that. I know how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the New Zealand Signature Triathlon Champs, and it was before the days of health and safety, and it was just after a cyclone had come through, and it was at Cockle Bay, and there was surf coming in, and I didn't make it past the first buoy, so that was a bit of a shock to the system, and it took me about another 5 or 6 years before I actually felt confident in the open water again.
So what you're saying, Rob, is that there's hope for me yet?
There's hope for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said 4 or 5 years though, Matt. How long has it been for you?
About 10.
Right.
10 years. Yeah. Okay, no hope.
Keep trying. But yeah, and it was at that point that I sort of found a love for the sport. And as I left school and went into my career of being a sports podiatrist, I was always working around sports people, and I found that I didn't really want to do anything else, partly because I enjoyed traveling overseas to do races. So I wanted to make sure I was still able to do that. But I just preferred working with athletes in general as a sports podiatrist at the time. But things sort of evolved that I got to the point where I actually decided that the sports podiatry business wasn't really doing it for me. It wasn't really stimulating enough, and I found more enjoyment in helping athletes. I enjoyed helping people not get injured as opposed to helping people recover from injury. And I think that was sort of the crux of when I decided to close the podiatry practice and just next day open it up as a triathlon coaching business.
Oh wow! So when was this?
It was around about 2007. So there was a little bit of a blend, a couple of years there where I was sort of doing maybe 50% podiatry, 50% coaching, but it got to a point where the coaching business was going forward and the podiatry business wasn't really going as far forward as I was happy. And I was actually, like I said, I was actually enjoying working with the athletes more than I was in the practice. And so yeah, around about 2007, 2008, I sort of made that decision to close the door one day in one business and open the door the next day in the other one. And because it was my business, it didn't really, there was no issues there. There was no, there was no other partners in the practice. So it actually went really well.
Oh wow! And so was that where the name Foot Traffic came from?
Yeah. So it's quite funny because I used to work in a clinic in Newmarket, and when I first graduated, and I just remember saying to someone at the time, "There's a lot of foot traffic comes past this place. It's really good for exposure." And I just thought, foot traffic. It's kind of a good name for a podiatry practice.
Yeah.
And a few months later, I left that job, went off to start my own one, and that foot traffic name continued. And so it just sort of works, We all use our feet. We all have traffic around us.
You can justify it however you want.
Yeah. And foot traffic sports podiatry became pretty well known pretty quickly in the triathlon scene anyway, and sort of people associated myself with that brand name, so it made sense to continue that when I opened the coaching business, and it works well, I think.
Yeah, and that's one question I put down here was, now that your business is growing and you're starting to, I guess, recruit other coaches, and we'll get into that, but you're Rob Dallimore, but then you're Foot Traffic. Like, how have you been through the years? Like initially, it's very important to have that, I guess, non-separation, that linearity, Matt. I don't know.
That's a word.
That's right. But now it's like you can't just be Foot Traffic because it's more than you.
Yeah, and so at the time, my wife Kelly was actually coaching a few people as well, so I could sort of see what that coaching space was like from the outside, and as I got into it, and her coaching business wasn't her name, which I think was quite a good thing to do, because from the outside, people, if they saw the coaching business was Rob Dallimore Triathlon Coaching, that's all it ever is, and Rob Dallimore's only got a certain amount of time in his day, and I didn't really want to associate my name with the coaching business as much, so that it was restrictive for other people to come on, because taking on other coaches under my name would just seem a bit weird, I think.
Yeah.
And from a marketing perspective, a brand and a recognized logo is so much more effective than just a name. And if I did something stupid and had a bad reputation, it would affect everybody in the organization as well. So I kind of, not that it's ever happened or ever going to happen, but I just felt that it was a logical thing to do, a smart thing to do. And so as I got busier, I soon realised that I only had a certain number of hours in a day and in a week. And as you know, with coaching athletes, that some athletes take more time than others. And as I got through, I sort of found out that there was a critical number that I could happily work with. any more people, I found that I was not able. I didn't want to dilute my services to my athletes. So if I took on too many athletes, then it was going to be less beneficial to those existing athletes. So and that's when it got to the point where I had a couple of athletes who I'd been working with for a long time. So Anna Lorimer was the first coach that I took on board. So both Callie and I had coached her for years and years, and still do. But she was a personal trainer, qualified personal trainer, and she's also got quite a deep level of education as well. And she's now a PhD in biomechanics, and she showed some interest in helping out some athletes. So I just gave her a few athletes and worked closely with her to try and develop her skills as a coach, and that worked quite well. And so, and then at the same time, I was coaching a young multisporter, Anna Barrett, who's now Anna Dean, and she and I was for coast to coast, and like multisport's such a unique and specific sport that I knew a little bit about it, but I thought it would be so much better if we actually had a multisport athlete who was a coach as well, who could then show those athletes how to do it. And so we took Anna Barrett on, and so she looks after our multisport athletes.
Yeah, multisport's a really interesting one because it's even a completely different demographic.
It is.
I mean, there is if you drew the Venn diagram, there is a little crossover, but your multisporter and your Ironman triathletes, pretty much the same sort of durations we're looking at, are different people. Completely
different, yeah. And that was something that I found that you can't train the two groups together effectively. Like an Ironman athlete's doing one workout, whereas on a bike for 5 hours, whereas a multisporter is sitting in a kayak for 5 hours, and they just didn't really blend together. So having a multisport coach on board was a good move, and there's not really anyone working in that multisport space up in the North Island. There are a few people who do a good job, but it's definitely an area that we could have taken more people on. So yeah, I think that was a good move. And then as time evolved, a few other coaches came on board. So Mark Bosted came on. So obviously he's a professional Ironman athlete, and he was showing some interest in wanting to coach some people at the time. So I was able to give him a few athletes, and now Rebecca Clark, who I coach, she's also a professional Ironman athlete, and she coaches some athletes now herself. And Carolyn Arthur has just recently started, and she's looking after our first timer beginner athletes. So we really cover all bases really, from beginner through to elite or high performing age grouper in triathlon, and then multisport, which I'm quite proud of. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really quite incredible how you've been able to, from the outside, grow what I'd consider a legitimate business. Because I mean, you've been in this game a long time, far longer than Matt and I. We're just learning the ropes here, but it's reasonably unprofessional, I guess. I'm not sure if that's derogatory towards some of the industry, but you know what I mean? Like what you've created seems like a very professional organization. Like what I've struggled with is a pathway into creating my own coaching business, and you've sort of provided that pathway for other new coaches.
That's cool. That's good way of putting it. I think the thing that happened at the right time, and it was probably serendipitous a bit, is that my friend and a guy Cam Langsford was starting his own training tilt, as business called Training Tilt, which is a membership platform for endurance sport coaches. And because I thought, well, if I'm going to be a coach, I need a website, but if I want to have a website, I need it to be a pretty good one. And Cam at the same time had this idea about how to manage groups of athletes online over a very large scale, and so Training Tilt evolved, and I was one of the first users of it. So it actually worked out really well, because Cam could advise me on how to set things up and how to make the everybody feel included in the group, and how to set up systems within the website that I can see who's active and who isn't, and just try and encourage participation online, and then have a method of delivering training plans to people who didn't necessarily want to coach but still wanted to be part of a coaching group. And then from there, obviously Cam's business has evolved really well. He's got some great coaches overseas that he looks after. So it actually kind of worked out really well. I think if I'd started a couple of years too early, or earlier than that, it probably wouldn't have been the same situation. Likewise, if I'd waited too long, I'd probably, I may not have been in the same position we are now. So it was good.
Yeah, Matt and I both use Training Tilt, and we're going to have Cam on at some stage, because what he's created is quite incredible. We'll leave that for another episode.
Yeah.
But it also leads really into another question that I have around your adoption of technology. Like Cam's one, it's great, but it still requires a fair whack of knowledge in terms of how to deal with the online sphere. And so if I just go through some of Rob's accreditations, which I didn't list earlier, there's Ironman accredited coach, Training Peaks accredited, Lydiard coaching, Stride Power Meter. I wrote WKO. I'm not sure if you actually have one, but I've seen you use it. So I'll just, if I see you use something, I generally assume you've done some kind of training in it.
Yeah, I've done an advanced power metrics course on WKO4, but that's a hard thing to grasp. It's a very complex software.
It's very in depth. Yeah. So what's driven that? Like, have you found it very important to stay ahead of the game with that kind of stuff? Are people using the stuff and really find value in that?
Yeah, it's funny. So I guess there was a point where I thought, so as a podiatrist, when I was studying podiatry, you sort of were told to direct your own learning and around areas that interested you. So I came away from that with the thought, well, I'm quite interested in the sports, in the technology side of things, and the power metrics and those sorts of things. So I might as well go down that rabbit hole and try and educate myself as much as I can. And because there isn't really a pathway in New Zealand to do that, it just made sense that Training Peaks had some great courses available. Ironman have that certification, which has worked quite well. And then as the Stride devices were developed more, they had their certification as well. So I just thought that it's good to keep learning and to try and keep pushing yourself and learning new skills and things like that. So it just sort of made sense to be able to do that. But also from a commercial perspective, it looks good when there are certifications from well-known organizations and brands. And so I just wanted to make sure that the current athletes and prospective athletes knew that, I was always trying to push myself in knowledge, and which in the end would benefit them, I hope. So yeah, that's kind of been why I've been going down that road. And it's a difficult thing, because you're sort of balancing the time of coaching but also educating myself. But yeah, I think it's important to just find something new and with great potential, and then just try and learn it as much as you can. So when it does become more mainstream, you're actually kind of not an expert in it, but you're well educated and you understand what it means.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you there, Rob, on like staying like kind of with the current technology, and like keeping yourself like highly educated in what you're doing, because one of the things that I think maybe you'll echo this a little bit, is that like anyone can be a coach, and there's no like specific, oh well, you didn't do this accreditation, you can't be a coach, and sorry, you're never going to be able to coach athletes. Sorry about that. But actually, if someone wanted to be a coach, they could. They don't have to have any experience, any education. They don't even have to have ever raced, and they could start charging clients money for coaching advice.
It's quite funny because you sort of see those people come and go, but they don't really stay.
That's one thing that that's why I wanted to get you on, to learn more about this. And I'm not sure, I guess this interview is more for mine and Matt's personal interest, but that's why we put in something for everyone else. But for our listeners, they are generally highly educated. Some of them, a lot of them have sort of personal own businesses and things. So I think they'll find this quite interesting. But for the duration that you've been around and continued to grow has been pretty impressive. So
that's good to know. It's I've got some goals that I really want to achieve over the coming years, and I've sort of got to move things on from where I am now. But it's never be comfortable, That's the thing. You should never look at it and go, I'm done. I'm happy with this. I'm always looking at ways I can improve or develop or provide more benefit to the clients.
So how have you been able to be consistently growing in an industry that is so transient? So and it's discretionary. So for the listeners, like in a coaching scenario, people listening to this may be interested in doing Ironman New Zealand just once. That's just their big goal, coast to coast, something like that. Or our overseas listeners, the Americans, Leadville 100, I don't know, an event over there. And they'll come and they'll go, I want 8 months. I want to deal with it. You put a lot of time and energy together. And then at the end of that relationship essentially finishes. That was all they wanted.
Yeah.
And now that income stream from a business sense has gone. And you may have a lot of athletes for that one event, which makes it makes it hard, a very fluctuating, non-consistent sort of business model.
Yeah, it's hard. So I've got quite a few athletes that I sort of consider them what I would call lifers, where they've been around for a long time, and they're the ones that go from season to season. And I have so much respect and gratitude for them, because really they're the ones that are the backbone of the whole community. And if every year we had a rinse out and all our athletes disappeared and new athletes would come in and replace them, every year it would just be completely different. So it doesn't work without those backbone athletes. And I'm really lucky that I've probably got maybe a dozen, maybe 15 athletes who I would consider to be that lifer, and they really are the core. They create the environment and the atmosphere, and everybody's really encouraging and inclusive and stuff like that. And I'm very lucky to have that. And that's something that I've thought, how am I going to get that sort of person into my coaching business? And to do that, I've got to set up an organization which has great profile, has good people involved, has good branding, is prominent at events, and is prominent on social media with useful information and content. And so that's an area that I'm sort of really working hard on. And the other thing I do is I jump on every opportunity that comes to me. So I'm lucky that I've got a great relationship with Ironman and Tauranga Half and a few of those sorts of races where they know that if they need someone to do something, I'm on hand. And as soon as they ask me, I go back and say, yep, I'll do that. And then I'll sort of find a way that I can make it work for them. And I think that was a good opportunity that I had years ago when I first started dealing with Ironman. I just jumped on the opportunity, and I've been lucky to sort of go from year by year doing that and helping out, and not really being too much of a pain in the backside, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. So really it follows the general trend of what you'd read in a business development book of you create a culture, you have a vision, you take the opportunities, and it goes from there. Yeah.
And it's and I think every year it gets better. Like every year I look at it and go, wow, we've got a really, really cool thing going on right now. And our athlete numbers may have grown by 5-10% over the previous year, and that culture is just growing with it and evolved. And it's I love going to a race, and we've got a tent set up or something, and we're there all day cheering everybody on, and then at the end of it, the people that have already finished come back and sit down at the tent and cheer on our other athletes, other members, and not necessarily just our athletes, everybody, because they understand that just because they finished the race, for them it might be over, but it's still going on for other people. So that's so neat that, and I just sit back and, at Ironman, for example, where we have our tent set up, I'll just sit back and I'll just look at it and I think, wow, this is awesome. We've just got a great group of people, and it's like that with other coaching groups as well. There's it's a really cool feel at the moment. It's better than it was years ago, where it was very much an individual sport. It's still an individual sport, but there is a team around it, and we might have athletes training for Kona or 70.3 world champs, but they don't train on their own because they've got other athletes that aren't training for those events but are happy to come along and just hang out with them and hack around for them. And that's nice. That's cool. It's really makes for a good feeling. Warm fuzzies.
I mean, that's part of the reason, like, you get up and do it every day. Like, you need to feel good about it. And if you're able to, have the right people, have the right athletes, and have the right coaches, and then create this awesome culture, like obviously that's good for you as well. And like, it keeps you motivated and keeps you going.
Yeah, it does. And the cool thing is now the way I've set things up is it's not just, so we've got our coached athletes, which are the ones that are looked after by their own coach, and they're very accountable for the plan, and everything is designed around their lifestyle and their work commitments, etc. But we also have this sub-level membership where people are part of foot traffic, but they don't need a coach. They don't want a coach. They're happy doing what they're doing, but we have training plans that they're able to access. So they still have a workout, but they're still part of the group. So we could be at an event, and we've got our coach athletes doing their thing. We've also got our online members doing their thing, and the two groups are there because they know each other from online communications and conversations and stuff. And it's it just shows that it's an inclusive thing. It's an inclusive sport, and people can learn so much from being around others that have a little bit more experience as well. And so now I'm getting to the point where our more experienced athletes are doing a lot of the education of the less experienced ones, under some level of moderation. Obviously, if the advice is always good, but when we have our forums and our online chats and stuff, it's moderated. But a lot of the great advice comes from the other athletes who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's really cool. So along those lines, where you're talking about a forum and communications and memberships and things, how has coaching changed, like, since you've started?
So it's funny because I don't. I mean, it probably hasn't changed much from what I can see, because I started with Training Peaks from day one.
Oh, wow.
So day one of my coaching business, I was using Training Peaks. I wasn't using Training Peaks when they started, but so I never really went through that whole spreadsheet Google Docs method of program delivery. I was always, everything was online from when I started coaching, which meant that I didn't have to transition from one style to another. So I was probably lucky that I didn't start 3 or 4 years earlier, because I probably wouldn't have used Training Peaks for the early days, and it might have taken me a while to switch over. So I can imagine from coaches that came from that earlier generation that it's changed a huge amount, because they've gone from writing something on a piece of notepaper to doing something online, and then being able to analyze data that's come through the computer would feel very different to looking at a spreadsheet with times and speeds and distances and etc. on it. So it's probably changed a lot for them, but for me, I don't think it's changed a huge amount. But I mean, and power meters were being used back in those early days as well, but they were really only by the high performing age groupers, or sort of the wealthier age grouper, because they were very expensive devices. But and it actually took me a long time before I started using a power meter anyway in training. I was actually coaching people with power meters before I had one. So I sort of threw myself in at it and figured out how to make these things work, and then I got one myself, which is probably did it the wrong way around. But then
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you have a power meter, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then as run power meters evolved, it's a similar sort of thing where not everybody has them, but I can see the advantage to having them now. But I know a lot is not known about them, and but the research, the R&D people at Stride are doing a really good job at finding out how they work and educating us on how to use them properly.
Oh man, since sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
you had the heart rate strat one like I did. So like the earliest version, and since it's comes from there, because when I use that, I was like, oh yeah, it's another number.
Cool. Yeah,
don't really see a big value. But then since some of the books and the resources I've put out, it's like, oh wow, okay, now I'm starting to see the true value. And I guess like talking with Matt in our running power meter episode, that was what cycling power meters were like.
Exactly. And I think the problem is people are arguing the use of them, or suggesting that we shouldn't be using them, or they're not that good or not that accurate. But I'm like, it's a number. Let's just take that number, use it. We know it's pretty consistent. We know it's fairly reliable, and let's just use that number and just work from there. Because you can't tell me that if you run an evenly paced marathon and your power meter has shown that you've run the same, or you've run maybe a 3 or 4% variance through the whole marathon, that was done by mistake. Like, that was actually done because someone had followed a number that was prescribed to them. And so I'm finding some massive success in just creating strategy around races and using them now. And it's exciting. It's really cool. And just seeing people trust in that, and how their eyes have opened to this whole new way of racing. It's been a good evolution, I think. I think we're going to start seeing it coming through. That technology will come through swimming and stuff soon. I've got a few ideas how that might work.
It's all going to get better, and a lot of it just has to do with education, really. Because and it's not just like, what do we do with this? It's like little bits of information coming from everyone, from different coaches, different the developers making tweaks to the algorithms. It's the same exact way that power meters were going, and it's the same way the brake power meter is going at the moment. And it's all about like figuring out what to do with it, and it doesn't happen overnight. And that's pretty cool that you've been there since kind of the beginning, and people are trying to adopt it. They're adopting it now and seeing success in it. I think that's pretty cool.
The Stride, I meet the Stride guys every year when I'm in Kona, and they're really good dudes. They're just like us, they're just young guys, and they just have a cool product, and they're just learning how to make it work.
Yeah, I think you met them, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah,
they enjoy a good party as well. The other thing, but the thing I still get concerned about is that a lot of people can't disassociate themselves from the power number at the right time. There is a point where you can rely too heavily on some of that information, and particularly in training, where you wake up in the morning, you feel a little bit sick, but you still know you've got to go and do a session, and some people will look at that number and go, I need to hit that, but don't have that ability to switch off and go, but my perceived effort is already here, or my heart rate's telling me that I'm actually working a little bit too hard. I'm not hitting my power. Something's going wrong. I need to keep hitting my power, and that throws them down that hole of overreaching or overtraining. But and that's why I find heart rate variability a really interesting variable to have, because I know I have some athletes who I know would do that. We'll look at the number I've prescribed for them and go out and hit it, regardless of what their body's telling them. But if heart rate variability is showing that actually the fact that you don't feel 100% today, and we can see from your HRV that it's not actually correct, and your resting pulse rate is actually sitting really high, the recommendation from the app might be to take today a little bit easier, there's another cue for you to actually pay attention to your body and not just worry about the numbers. And quite often to those people, I'll say, send me a quick message, tell me what your heart rate variability is. We'll have a chat about whether you need to change that workout today. And that's becoming quite effective. I think to some degree, for sometimes the power meter is there to benefit the coach more than it is for the athlete in some of those situations. But the athlete has to trust that the coach has a plan and that it's important to stick to it.
Yeah. So just for those who are unaware, heart rate variability measures, I guess, the variance in between each beat of your heart, and it's impacted by the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So essentially, like you're exciting and down regulating that. I'm missing words here. Fight or flight. Yeah. So if you're really on edge and overstimulated, it's going to influence that. And then if you're really understimulated, overtired or whatever, then it's going to impact it as well. It gives you an objective number. And now with the update of apps and watches and things, this stuff's all just becoming so much easier to use.
It's pretty powerful, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is, because initially when I was trying to get athletes to use it, it was like, oh, can you wake up, put your heart rate monitor on, lie down for 5 minutes, or sit in a chair, stay still, breathe some, and
no one wants to do that.
No one's going to do that. And then it came out, you could do it with your finger on an iPhone, and now some of the new Garmin's are going to have it available. So it's pretty cool. So we'll get into part 2 of Rob's advice for athletes, which I think we're sort of just switching over to now. And this one, like your recommendations.
We were going to talk about the regulation.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that.
I want to talk about that.
All right, here we go, people. So I wrote this question down. Rob's seen the questions, so do you have any comment on the regulation of the industry or lack thereof?
I'm looking forward to hearing this one. I've kind of tried to bring it up earlier, but let's hear it.
So that's why I glanced over it. I thought maybe that was the extent of that convo. But yes, please.
No, continue. I do. I have some thoughts. So, we used to have a really good thing going in TriNZ where we had Brett Reed was the head of coaching development in TriNZ, and it was awesome. Like he provided all the coaches with little tidbits of information of how to extend your own knowledge, and the coaching courses were really well thought out, and they were weekend or day long sessions where you would come away with a certification, or there was some coursework you had to do, some mentoring and stuff like that, and it was awesome, and you could really see that it was evolving very, very well in New Zealand, and to the point where it was actually surpassing Tri Australia and USAT courses, but quite a bit. In fact, I actually went to think, I might look into doing USAT course as well. And a coach at the time, Brendan Downey, actually said to me, he goes, mate, the TriNZ course is so much better. He said, you don't really need that USAT course.
So that's USA Triathlon.
Yeah, and in fact, I tried to go into a USAT course, and it was the hardest bloody thing I've ever done. It was I had to jump online at a certain time, and they
midnight.
Yeah, they wouldn't reserve a spot for me or anything. I thought, stuff that I'm just gonna just leave it. But and because I thought, actually, you're right, we have got a great thing going. And then budget funding came into effect, or budget cuts came into effect, and for some reason TriNZ lost quite a few staff members, quite a few core staff members, and that coaching area just disappeared, which was a real shame, because there's still good coaches, but there's just no support for us, and there was no way for good coaches to come through. There is the TriNZ Foundation course, which I encourage the foot traffic coaches to do, but it's not the same. It doesn't take you through those level 1, level 2, level 3 coaching. And the irony is after all these years, I've still only got a level 1 TriNZ. I got halfway through my level 2, and the whole thing fell apart. And so I'm a bit I'm just hoping that one day there will be the opportunity to come back again, because we're sort of missing a lot here, and it's a real shame. But that's another reason why I went down other opportunities with Training Peaks and Ironman and those other certifications. But I'm just hoping that something will change at some stage, and I think it's not a good reflection. Like, the sport's never going to change, never going to go. We're always going to be triathletes. There's always going to be people who want to do better. So there's always a space for coaching, but there needs to be that support for the coaches as well. Otherwise, we're just here on our own, just sort of hoping that we're going and doing things right. Yeah.
Well, what about the fact that anyone can call themselves a coach?
Yeah. So, and it was actually, so that's another thing that concerns me. So, coming from podiatry, it was highly regulated. Every year you had to become certified. You had to have liability insurance. You had to everything was
even that. So public indemnity liability insurance, like, it's not, you can go and take people out on the
Yeah, and TriNZ do have a liability program, but I don't think it's compulsory. But you take it out anyway, because I don't want to be responsible financially for anything that might go wrong. But yeah, there is that anybody can pick up a Training Peaks account, call themselves a coach, jump online, teach some people how to do a triathlon, but not necessarily have the understanding of what happens around overtraining. How to deal people's psychology and the nutritional side of things. So yeah, we're in a dangerous position right at the moment, because we are at the risk of people just coming and going over very, very short times and dragging some really trusting age groupers through to a point that they're not able to support them anymore, and then they sort of get left not achieving their goals, and it's just a weird position to be in at the moment.
It is. I find it quite odd in the way other industries, and especially industries based around a human being and their health and well-being, are so tightly regulated. And our industry, you give them exact guidance on a daily basis as to how they should live their athletic life. Is just like completely hands off from any regulation.
Absolutely.
It's just like, hey, look, you do this, and then you could pay nothing to someone who is mainly doing it as a voluntary position for whatever reason. They're like, oh yeah, I run a bit, I'd love to help everyone out. And it's like, oh, okay. So then they're seen in the same light as someone who may be someone like yourself seeking ongoing education.
It's kind of funny though, because what we do is we basically go out and tell people to break themselves, but not break yourself so much that you can't go be put back together again. But if you tell people to break themselves, you don't really know what's the consequences of them breaking themselves to this extent. Then it's a dangerous place. I mean, I've seen some training plans come through. You just talk to people at some first-timer seminars, and they talk about the training their coaches given them, and I'm thinking, man, those are some hours that I wouldn't be doing. And I've done 19 Ironmans or something, and this person trained for their first one, and they're 9 months out, and it's like, wow, there's not a lot of thought's gone into this.
Then, in saying that, you go, man.
They do it with good intentions. Like,
exactly.
All these training plans are made with the greatest of intentions.
Yep.
Someone really thinks they're helping the other person.
Yeah.
But it is a really dangerous area to get in. And it's almost like the Little League baseball kind of approach. Yeah. And it's like I came up in Little League, and, a couple of the kids on the team, their dad was a full-time coach, and he volunteered his time. He probably didn't even like baseball. And he's there trying to teach me how to play baseball. And, obviously that didn't turn out too well.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is, and we're all learning, constantly. I came away from Ironman Cairns this weekend. Some goals weren't achieved in some of the athletes, and I've come away and gone, something needs to change. Where are we missing the boat? I need to look into this. And so, I'm going back to the drawing boards and just looking at, are these things covered? These things, this hasn't been covered well. Let's look at bringing this on board. Whereas you can't just look at it and go, we'll just try again next year, And I just worry that a lot of people get to that point and they go, I don't know how to fix it. But we need to be prepared to look at it and go, that was wrong. I can see a fault in that. I need to get someone to tell me how to make this better. And that's where the delegation of services comes as well.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting take on things. Then if we get into your advice for athletes coming up, and so any athlete, regardless of ability in sport. Now, I want 3 recommendations from you for.
Check if I've got 3. I've got 3. Yeah.
For these.
2.5 will do.
No, I was going to go more than that. I've got 3.
That's the problem. See, I think we're coaches because we quite like the sound of our own voice.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is what I reckon. And you guys might disagree with me, which would be good because we need a good scrap.
Yeah, those are good. Scraps are good. Bring it on. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I believe consistency prevails over training stress. So as long as an athlete is regular and consistent in their workouts, focusing on form and keeping that in focus, then they will end up in a better position at the end of a block or the end of a season than if someone knocks himself over sporadically through 3 or 4 times a week, doesn't have any plan around recovery, doesn't have a structure or to the training session, or doesn't understand what it's doing to them. So I'd rather see someone was being consistent rather than hitting themselves hard over the head with a hammer and then taking a couple of days off. What do you guys reckon?
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Consistency trumps all, really.
Yeah, but it's not sexy, eh? It's like,
no.
Do I just have to go for another 1.5-hour ride like I did 2 days ago at 65% of threshold? And
another 1.5 easy. You're killing me.
I know.
Yeah, where are all the intervals?
I know, yeah. Yeah, it's like I need to have an 80-20, 80% over threshold, 20% under, please.
Yeah. But if you do that, you can't be very consistent, can you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other thing I think is important is communication with the coach. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through direct messaging or emails, but Training Peaks is good because they have post-workout comments. And this gives us a quick snapshot of how an athlete's going. And the way that push notifications work now with Training Peaks is that if someone's left a comment,
really, really annoying, or
yeah, they can.
No way! I love them. I love those push notifications.
Yeah,
I do as well. But it's when you wake up, you turn your phone on first thing in the morning, and you got athletes racing around the world. And it's like bing, bing, bing.
Yeah,
oh Jesus, just let me have a coffee.
But it is good though, because if a notification has come through with a comment, you think, something must have been. We need to look at this. So you jump on and have a quick look at the comment. Otherwise, if there's no comment that came through, it might take you a day or so, or a couple of days before you actually had a good look into that workout.
Yeah, no, actually, it's that feature, and you would have seen the huge progression in Training Peaks over the last few years. Is such a good one. You can, for those that don't know, we use for our membership platform, we use a system called Training Tilt, and then there's probably for a more one-on-one coaching, there's a more in-depth system called Training Peaks, and you will upload your GPS file and everything, and we can see it on our end. And then if you leave a comment, it'll notify us, and we can check that comment just to see if anything's really wrong, or if you've said, how does this session look? It's all in-house, so it doesn't have to be through Facebook or text or phone call, email, WhatsApp. What are some of the other ones people are gonna?
Yeah, Viber. It's really good for me because then we can kind of have a little tiny chat inside the workout. And, and then it's all in context. So if I need to look back, I'm like, how did they feel like in January of 2012? Oh, let me scroll back through my text. I probably lost it. If I can just go to the workout on that day and I can see exactly what they said to me, what I said to them, and maybe it's nothing, but if it was something important, hopefully they left a comment.
It creates a paper trail, and it also allows us to come back to them and say, "See, I told you so."
Yeah,
that's very important.
yeah, definitely.
I don't like being wrong. Although I'm wrong often. I am wrong often. I'll give them that one. Another one I find is you don't necessarily need a coach to achieve goals, because having a coach can be a massive financial burden, and it puts you on another level of accountability. And it's too much for people, especially if they're career focused or they've got family commitments and stuff. But there's enough online memberships to join at a low cost, but with a high level of return. So you got that regular contact with other athletes, and then access to a training plan within that membership. And you feel like you're being coached, but you're not actually being. You haven't actually got a coach banging away at you going, why haven't you done this workout properly? Or just going online and just buying a plan that is written by a good source, and then just I think that's an important thing. So just because you're doing an Ironman doesn't mean you need to go out and hire a coach. It's good, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah, I think there's different levels. If someone has never had a coach, so like for me with my athletes as an example, I always if they contact me via email through my contact form, they give me a little bit of details, and the first thing I send them is a pre-training questionnaire, and one of the questions on that is, have you ever had a coach before? And usually if they've never had a coach before, I'll recommend something like a training plan, because it can be pretty overwhelming to your first training plan ever is something that is tailor-made exactly for you. You're following it every day, and I think sometimes it can be a bit much. So those training plans are an awesome way to start. It's usually less expensive, and then you can follow up with your coach later if you really enjoy it and want to do more.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I need to get a training plan.
Yeah, that's something we haven't really touched on, Matt, is that because I've experienced that. People, this is our job and we love it and we're super passionate about it. And so when someone comes on board like, oh, I need some coaching, and they get someone who's like, have you commented? Oh, I looked at this. Here's some feedback on your latest workout. They're like, whoa, I'm just like, hang on a sec there. And it does. I think it becomes a bit daunting.
It's funny you say that, because I kind of assume someone's hiring a coach, they're all in, and I'm going all in with them. But it's not always the way, is it?
No, some people just are really, they just want an overseeing eye, and sometimes you'll be messaging them like, hey, good, great, and you haven't heard from them for a week, but they're really happy with just less is more kind of thing. Whereas I think we feel like we need to add value so much, like, oh man, this is going to help this person and this, but
maybe we should stop communicating with our athletes, see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's different personalities that you get to see in the different athletes. Like some, like when it comes to communication, Will and I always kind of talk about this to ourselves, and like, oh, some people just don't leave enough info.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what do I do? It's like, well, that's just their personality. Like I hate texting, so if for my coach, I wouldn't leave probably any comments.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not into it. It doesn't mean I'm not into it. So there's all different personalities that we're working with.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. It's it's funny. Yeah, it's funny when you say that, because I kind of experienced the same thing.
So then going on from your recommendations, so if we summarize those, we've got consistency is key. What was the other one?
Let me just go back to my notes. Communication. Communication, we were listening to each other. And then not necessarily needing a coach to achieve goals.
Okay, so definitely communicate with your coach, and then don't get a coach.
Don't get a coach, I see what you're saying there.
All right, and all right. So most common mistakes that you see, people coming in, they're coming to you, like, what are they? And so you are predominantly triathletes, and that would be because the way the sport's going, they would be half and full Ironman.
Yep, pretty much, yeah. So I wrote these with my own athletes in mind, situations that I've experienced mistakes from them. Not me, from them. Not underestimating the importance of low intensity training. So we touched on that a little bit earlier around the consistency. I've got some athletes really, really fit and really, really strong for some really big events, just with mostly sub-aerobic threshold workouts, just base training. And it's amazing how efficient and how strong and how fit they become. And it's just a way to back up session by session by session without going down a fatigue hole. It's just amazing. Like it just makes sense. You know, you
but
still have
how do you make that sound good?
Just like that. Just what I said then. I quite like Training Peaks because they have the graphs, and so you can actually say to someone, you know, I want to see more in these zones, not so much in this zone 5, and they can actually and then you can track back to another part of the year, show them the same graph, and you can see how they can actually see how they've done that, and so they can start beginning to understand why their body hurts after certain workouts or certain blocks. And it's just a thing of like training for an Ironman or a long distance triathlon. It isn't that hard. It's tiring and fatiguing, but your body should never really be in massive amounts of muscle pain. You should be able to wake up in the next morning, shake it off a little bit, get on the bike and go. And that just comes from banking loads and loads and loads of hours at low intensity. And the other thing I've always said is that speed work introduces speed work increases the risk of injury exponentially, basically. So as soon as you add speed work to a workout, it's like, all right, I hope this athlete knows how to deal with the extra stress and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys find that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys, you know, dealing with triathletes, you would see it more. Like, it's easy to be like, well, you did a really hard session. Like, you obviously feel pretty ruined, don't you? Like, oh, yeah, I really hurt. But then with cyclists and mountain bikers who I work with, like, they do a really hard session, and they're like, yeah, that was pretty hard. Can I do it again?
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
No! That really hurt you, right? Like, well, no, I feel all good now. But no, it really hurt you.
Yeah,
Just trust
me, it hurt you.
Yeah.
The thing I'm actually finding quite cool, and it's over the last few years I've sort of seen how this occurs is you can actually get really fit for the individual sports of a triathlon by doing the other sports as well. Like if you do a lot of swimming, you get aerobically fit, which helps you running and cycling. If you do a lot of cycling, you get a great amount of muscular endurance, which helps your running and swimming to some degree. If you do a lot of running, you probably drop a little bit of body mass, so you get greater power to weight ratio on the bike, and then you also get probably doesn't hate swimming so much because you start sinking. But you can actually do if you struggle with running injuries, but when you do speed work, do your high intensity VO2 max work in the pool or on the bike, and cover off that there. If you struggle to bank a lot of miles running, do heap more cycling and chuck double run days in where your body's not being pounded for 2.5 or 3 hours. You know, it's and that's the great thing about triathlon. It's not just one sport.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think we've only really kind of talked negatively about the structuring of triathlon, but it is really positive in that you don't ever have to give up training, I guess. Through running injuries or through an inability to swim well or handle bike load, you can just restructure it and go,
yeah,
hey, this is really cool. Like when I was doing running, I just got injured and stopped for a month. But
one of the great mistakes I see triathletes do when they want to train for a marathon is they stop being a triathlete and they start becoming a marathon. Oh, actually, Will, I hope was this the case? You probably did it properly. Actually, probably wasn't the case for you. But I've seen a lot of triathletes who want to do a marathon, stop cycling, stop swimming, go to do the marathon, don't do as well as they were hoping?
Yeah, my first one, I used the strategy that you just really mentioned. I knew I couldn't run enough. I couldn't do the 100 plus K weeks. I could only get to about 80 Ks a week. But I wanted to run well, and 80 Ks was like the maximum, you know? So I did a long ride in the weekend, and I did most of my high intensity stuff as swimming.
Yeah, right.
And included aqua jogging at the end of my swimming.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me a really long time to transfer from triathlon to running.
It does take a long time.
I thought initially, I mean, I did try and like give up everything, and then but then I was also very like I can't think of the word, I guess, self-conscious about losing my swimming ability, even though I was never using it or exceptionally good at it. But so I kept doing that until really I was able to exert the full amount of my energy that I used for training into running. Because before that, I had all of this energy. You know, I was training 15 hours a week, up to 20, but I could only run 5 or 6. And that was sort of like, not enough. Need more. But now I'm at the point where I can run 10 to 12 hours a week. So
that probably took you a couple of years.
Oh, it must be almost 3 or 4 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's the whole thing of you can't do, if you're doing it the same as an Ironman, don't stop being an Ironman athlete. But like if you're going to transition to be a runner, it's obviously something you can do over time.
Yeah, well, you're just a bit heavier. Like I've lost a lot of body mass in my shoulders and chest and stuff like that.
You haven't got any shorter, have you?
No. Oh, actually, I don't know. I'm not big on measure.
I thought you looked different, actually.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Still slam dunk.
No, running's definitely going to kill your hops. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's interesting because whenever I go up to Rotorua, and when Will was living in my town, we'd go riding together, mountain biking, and be like, oh yeah, Will's actually a pretty good mountain biker for never mountain biking, and like he's pretty like cycling fit, for a runner, you know, and like it's just because he's really aerobically conditioned, and he has a lot of experience in cycling. So he's not just going to suddenly suck at cycling. So if he wanted to jump in a mountain bike race, he could probably do good for about 40 minutes or something.
You're saying that because that's what happened.
Wrong turn.
Yeah.
So he goes belly up on a jump.
Yeah.
Another couple of things I was thinking of was not checking equipment on race day. So, we've got these nice wheels or a nice race tune set up we put on our bikes with some well-positioned drink bottles, etc. But not checking that the equipment is fitted well or is functional or in good nick. That can be a big mistake. So you can see people sitting on the side of the road with these beautiful bikes, nice race wheels, and more than one flat tire, and no spares, and or that sort of stuff. Or the gears aren't working right, or they borrowed someone's wheel for race day and they've never ridden it before, and they found out that actually it's a Campag cassette, not a Shimano cassette, and those sorts of things. So I think checking race day equipment is really important, which is why I always recommend people do a couple of sessions beforehand, as if it's a race simulation.
Matt, you must see that a lot.
Yeah, it especially happens in mountain bikes where like you're totally abusing your equipment every time, and so like you want to have a nice fresh race bike and then probably a training bike, and you probably haven't used your race bike in a few weeks, and the tubeless sealant is all dried up, and you hit a nail and you get a flat and your race is over. Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
I find pushing through illnesses is a big thing. So, I've always had that rule that if it's a head cold, ease back on your training, but if it's a chest cold, take a couple of days off.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, because you can still sort of train if you're a bit heady. You just got to make sure you wrap up and don't do anything too hard, but you can still tick over. But yeah, if you've got a chest cold and if you're stressing your lungs at all, that just takes so much longer to get over. If you just take a couple of days off, get better, get back into it again. Otherwise, you can turn like a 3-day cold into a 3-week cold.
You can. I'm dealing with an athlete with that's, that happened to at the moment. And, he's overseas racing some really big races, and he got sick in between them. And it's like, oh, you still have to race the next week. But suddenly you're, 2 weeks deep.
Yeah.
And, when you're racing, sometimes you can't stop that. But, as soon as the races are over, we're like, yep, that's it. Have a bit of a break. Get
I don't know how Grand Tour riders can do it. Going day in, day out at what they do through the conditions that they go in, and still be able to get to the end of 21 days of that sort of racing. I don't know. That's just another level of athlete. Hey, that's amazing. Just to be able to hold off getting sick through that time.
Yeah, just the sheer dedication day after day. Because you think about if you're on training camp or if you've ever done a multi-day event, so okay, got to clean this, get this ready, eat this, sleep now, stretch, get my equipment ready, all of that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Would be so, if you just completely forget about the actual physical exercise, the racing side of things for a few hours a day, just all of that other stuff where you can't just chill out and have a few beers or go down to the local Texas chicken.
Yum.
So the next one's like a double whammy, double header. So partly not what we'll go first. Not seeking help for an injury soon enough, but then not admitting to the coach that there isn't an injury. Those two go together, but they're both very important, and ones that I have recently had to deal with a few of my athletes. Not a few, one of my athletes. He knows who he is. Not admitting to the coach that there is an injury and not getting help for that injury soon enough. Big issue.
Yeah.
It's like, if you've got a calf strain, you can clear it up in a week of no running. If you don't deal with it, it could be 6 weeks of no running. What would you rather have? Yeah.
Yep. Matt and I just last week in our overtraining episode, we sort of went over that and we said our stories, and it seems so hard when you're in it to take those few days off. You're like, this is going to derail my whole season.
Absolutely.
And then you look back on it and you're like, why the hell did I not have 1 week off?
Yeah.
This just seems so ridiculous. I'm looking at it, I'm like, 5 days over the course of my 12-week build-up. It's just ridiculous. But you're there and you're like, there's no way. There's no way I can have another day off. It's nuts.
Well, you tell yourself lies as well as an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll keep pushing.
We've got a pretty high pain tolerance.
Yeah. That's where a coach comes in handy, so if you do have an injury and or you feel some sort of little niggle, it's really good to tell your coach, and because they have that different perspective.
And the other thing is the coach doesn't want you to not succeed. Like, the coach is wearing your performance on their shoulders as well as you are. And so we haven't got this evil plan of going to make this athlete not succeed ever by not letting them go for a run today. It's like, no. We actually want you to get to the finish line in the best shape possible, and come away from that going, I've had the best race I've ever had. And it's like, listen, so just listen to us.
We have the same goal. Yep.
Yeah, which gets me to the next one I have, which is changing the coach's workout without checking first.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one of mine. I'm not a fan of that happening.
Yeah.
But we just have to be smart and one step ahead of the athlete.
You do have serial workout changers.
Yep.
So you're like, okay, well, I know this guy's going to change this workout for sure. So let me just plan ahead for that.
Yeah, we'll just reduce the number a little bit, so they think they're getting one up on us, but it's actually fits our grand plan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've done that with someone. I always set the training load was set for an extra 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I know this is going to get added on here, and here, so I'll just move that around. It's
so inspiring. I get so much. I'm amazed with athletes that do that, because I'm like, man, I just want to get home and put my feet up. But these other athletes are like, I need more. I want more. And I think, wow, that actually is a quality that you don't see in a lot of people. And I think, well, to some degree that has to be harboured and encouraged, but controlled. Because, if you've got an athlete who's just feeding it to themselves, you think, man, on race day, this is going to be a real benefit. But let's just get you to race day first.
Yeah, so some athletes, probably a few of them listening now, I commend you. It's impressive how much you can just hurt day after day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And these athletes often have full-time jobs.
Yep.
And it's like, my job is far from a structured full-time job.
Yeah.
And I struggle to complete my training load.
Exactly. I'm exactly the same. And the last one I have was, we all come back to the fact that we still have to have fun in the sport, because it is just a hobby and it's just a lifestyle, and we're not doing it as a career, and other than the elite athletes, the professionals. But it has to come back to the fact that, are you enjoying it? Yeah, I am. Great. That's good. You're not enjoying it? No, I'm not. Okay, let's find a way that you can start enjoying it. Because it's just fun. It's just life. Just get out and have a good time. Enjoy the scenery. Make sure you're going fast at the same time.
There you go.
So if we get more into you, like as an athlete, not a coach.
As an athlete, yeah.
What do you wish you had like around 10 years ago? Whether the knowledge or a gadget.
Can I go back to 30 years for this one?
Sure.
Yeah, I am. Go back to 30 years.
It says 10 years, but yeah, why don't you just do whatever you want?
Yeah, I've changed the plan. I really wish I learnt to swim when I was younger. And 30 years ago, I would have been 12 years old. I wish I did that, because I think had I not done that, had I learnt to swim, I would have had. I really wanted to have a career in ITU racing, go to Olympics and stuff like that. But I was never a good enough swimmer, and I never got the opportunity to see if I could have even been good enough to do it. But just because I'm too far out of the water, and I wish I could have gone back and done that again. Because I was racing duathlons back in school days with Bevan, Doherty, and Will Smith, and those guys were still beating me. But I still like to think that with the right training and the right guidance, it could have gone overseas and done a couple of those ITU level races. That would have been awesome. But not when you're coming out of the water so far behind. So that would have been a neat thing to be able to do. But that's what it was.
Yeah. So what about the longer distance where the swim and that wasn't so important?
I still think it's important. I think
like if you wanted to be a professional,
yeah,
did you go down that road?
I wasn't fast enough. Still.
Okay. Yeah,
and I think if I committed maybe 30K a week for 6 months at the right time in my life, maybe I could have. But that had to have happened in my late 20s, really, to have been effective. And even then, I just don't think my body was made up for running the intensity and the speed that those top end guys run anyway. Like, I was always prone to stress fractures and stuff. But I think I did some things wrong when I was young. I think I lacked a lot of general leg strength and bone density, bone health at that time in my athletic career. If I'd had that understanding and that knowledge, then I would like to have gone and done things right. I'd made a lot of mistakes, which I do regret, because I never got to do that thing that I wanted to do, was line up on a professional ITU podium or in an elite Ironman race, which would have been cool to do. But that's all right. I raced elite twice at Tower and a half. But that's
same.
That doesn't really make a difference.
No, it didn't. I think we just still ended up racing each other.
Yeah, we were in the same race, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, you came past me with about, oh man, it was like 3Ks to go. I was just completely dying.
Around the mount. I think it was my proudest moment of my athletic career, actually.
Oh yeah. I was just in pieces. I think I was I leading the age group race at one point? Maybe I was second. I was.
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah.
Yeah, because you must have come on the podium. Bobby Dean won, I think.
Bobby D. Oh, geez, that guy. who's married to our multisport coach, Anna.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just throwing these names around, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Do you remember we did that Coromandel Classic race?
Yep.
I ran past you then. That was a pretty proud moment.
Oh, yeah. So that is my first ever. People may have heard me talk about my first ever trail running race.
Oh man!
And I turn up, and I think you said to me, like, "Are you wearing those?" And these are my
racing flats.
Racing flats. Yeah, Puma racing flats that I bought for $70 from Rebel Sport. And I was like, yeah, like, and so I was doing it in a team with my wife Emma and my mate Hamish Hammond, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna smash this. We looked at the times; it's like 25 Ks, 28 Ks, and the average pace is like 5-minute Ks or something. I was like, oh, sweet, I'll be able to get the new record. And wow, yeah, trail running just blew my mind. I was in pieces. I was first up the hill, up a mountain pretty much, and then then I was walking and everyone started running past me. It was tough. It was tough.
That was a hard run. That was hard. And then it was the 9K of flat. Once he got off the hill, that made it even just as bad.
Yeah, and it was hot, and it was tough. Yeah,
I think you smoked me the next day. I'm pretty sure you did actually.
No, I didn't. My wife did. I think Emma dropped you on the hill.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think you guys all had time trial bikes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, draft legal triathlon bike. Yeah, so that's that's definitely something I wish I had done more. Definitely did things right through my career. Nice.
So then, pretty much just to finish up, like, where do you see endurance sports going in the future? And so when I'm asking this, I'm thinking, are we going longer? Are we going into triathlon? Is mountain biking becoming more popular? Are we leaving the road due to increased road users and safety? Like, you've been around the sport, you've seen it change.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's going?
So, I was in the era of we had a lot of duathlons through our winter, and like massive duathlon series, world class fields. We would line up for a duathlon in Papakura, and on the start line would be Jamie Hunt, Hamish Carter, Cam Brown, Paul Amy, Jared Lediker, Jeremy Boyd. Absolute world class fields, and for a 5:30 and a 5 duathlon in Papakura, and this was in the mid to late 90s. This was cool, man. This was an awesome time to be a kid coming up through the sport. And I'd love to see that sort of thing come back again. I'd love to see those midwinter duathlons. I mean, who cares if it's a bit wet? It's just what it's meant to be. So I think we actually will start to see those come back again. But I'd love to see those good quality fields back, and I don't think we ever will because of the nature of ITU racing now. But those sorts of races were good. I think we're going to start seeing more short distance racing become more popular again, large participations in that. And I think things like Super League have really helped to excite people and get people interested. And I'm certainly interested in it. I reckon it'll be an awesome thing to do. Just how they do the format for an age group level would be interesting. But yeah, I would love to try a Super League style race, and I think we'll probably start seeing that draft legal. Good fun racing. I think ultra's still growing, and it's still going to be there. But I think it's such a large commitment on people's life and their bodies that I don't know if it's going to get much bigger. I mean, Ironman is a massive thing, and Ironman is short in regards to some of these ultra distance triathlons. I think I'm not sure, and I don't think I'll ever do anything longer than an Ironman myself, just because it seems like a lot. But the other thing I think we'll start seeing is I would love to see a long distance draft legal triathlon on a hilly bike course. That'll be cool. I'll be racing in that one. And then I also think I think one day we'll start seeing the evolution of a cyclocross style triathlon or duathlon. So whether it's in a short multi-lap swim in a pond, in a pui pond somewhere, or in a pool, but with a cyclocross bike leg, and then a cross-country, old school cross-country running over jumps, water traps, and something you'd be wearing spikes for. That might be something that could be doable as well. I think that'd be good fun. I've never ridden cyclocross. I think I'd probably be terrible at it, but I want to give it a go. But yeah,
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be good. Cool. You'll do that, won't you?
Yeah, I'll be there, and I'll help you with your skills. We can do some braking analysis on your bike leg.
We'll do some Matthew Vanderpoel style stair climbing on our bikes.
Yeah, it'll be good.
But I think just the normal Olympic distance swim, bike, run, I think that's cool, but it's getting a little bit tiring, a little bit boring. I think we need to start changing it up again, get something different.
Yeah, so I mean, Ironman is always going to be there. So it's interesting to hear you say the shorter stuff, with the Super League, which we've talked about before on the podcast. Do you think we'll lose that middle ground?
You mean like Olympic distance worlds? It'll always be there. ITU age group worlds will always be there. But yeah, I think it's very hard to train. Well, having trained so many Ironman athletes, it's very hard to train someone for a short distance race or for Olympic distance race, just because I'm used to giving people 15, 17 hours of training a week, whereas Olympic distance, you don't really do that much. So I think that will still be there, but I think you'll start seeing Ironman will continue growing. But yeah, shorter stuff I think will probably be an area that people will get into, especially because Super League's such a cool event to watch. There's so much interest. Like I was watching the ITU the leads on the weekend, and it was a good race, but I was looking forward to seeing what happens in the short shoot and what happens in the second leg of the swim and that sort of stuff. But in the end, you're just sort of waiting, and 2 hours later, an hour 45 later, someone wins.
Yeah, that's part, and Matt can comment on that, like the change in cross-country mountain biking, and now that it's on, free-to-air Red Bull TV. But like you, I watched Leeds Triathlon, and you and I would be, the utmost of their engaged viewer.
Yep.
And even we're going, okay, and this was like the men's race was so exciting. Attacks flying, technical course, but still it's like, I could probably, like in the women's race, I because I was watching on demand. I was like, just keep skipping laps.
Yeah.
Anything happened? Anything happened? Nothing's happened.
No,
okay. Like, and so to commit 2 hours, and I am like the epitome of a fan. You're like, oh, okay, this sport is going to struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, because like, what did they do with mountain biking? Because now it's like Red Bull TV is just phenomenal. You just
cross country mountain biking was unwatchable before. Like you would not.
Is that right?
Yeah, like it wasn't. I guess in the '90s it was bits and parts, highlights were on TV, but it wasn't watchable as like something on Red Bull TV like it is now. The multi-lap format, hour and a half, and the viewership's gone up, and the participation seems to be helping with that. So
that's interesting because I don't watch a lot of mountain biking, but I watch the Olympics and Commonwealth Games, and if it's anything like the Com Games last year at the Gold Coast, no, that was next level
awesome.
racing. Yeah, that was incredible.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was so good to watch.
So maybe I should get my Red Bull TV sorted out and start watching it.
Yeah, it's just like it's all it would be great for when you're on the trainer or just chilling out because it's just go Red Bull TV. We've told the listeners to jump on like the downhill stuff. It's just all so engaging, so well put together. Unbelievable that it's free.
Right.
And you get an amazing package. They introduce the riders really well. You get the backstories. It's phenomenal.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, that'd be cool to see that sort of thing happen with triathlon a bit more then.
Well, you can see that's what they're doing with Super League.
Yeah.
Like they're giving backstories, that creating rivalries where they're not there, but they're introducing them. All of that kind of stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, nice.
So that pretty much wraps it up. It's been pretty long one. I think.
Yeah,
really
sorry, it's not too
interesting.
boring. Shit, might be a three-part episode series.
Yeah, that'll save us having to.
Yeah. I'll go on vacation for another couple of weeks. Yeah.
Edit all the crap out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
No, that's good. That's really good. Thanks for that, Rob. Thanks for
worries.
coming on the show.
Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate this sort of stuff. I think it's so good what you guys are doing, and thanks a lot.
All right, cool. Well,
And
sorry, he's still going.
I'll share it. We're still going. I'll share it out through my channels.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
We appreciate that.
And we'll link your website and everything to the bottom of the podcast if anyone wants to check it out. And
cool.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy, eh?
All right, see you later.
Thank you. See ya.